Justice Minister versus Prince court case that's expected to be heard this morning. The Constitutional Court will deliver judgment on the legality of the private use of dagga. For more on the story, we cross now to our reporter Mahlako Komane, who is at the Constitutional Court. Mahlako, before we can get into the judgment, can you give us background into this case?
Well, we do know, Desiree, good morning to you and the viewers. We do know that this case was heard in the Western Cape Court last year, and today what the Constitutional Court will be handing down judgment on is whether it is illegal for a person to use cannabis or weed within their private home. But I have a guest with me today, Mr. Tau Tau. He's Rastafari, and he represents an organization of people that believe in the importance of smoking weed and also the importance and the spiritual aspect of cannabis. And he'll be just telling us more about what their journey has been with the use of this herb, or rather this plant. Thank you so much for talking to us, Mr. Tau Tau. Can you just please tell me, today is obviously D-Day for you, your organization, and everybody else that believes in the same beliefs that you have. Can you tell us what are you expecting will take place? What type of judgment are you hoping for?
Well, we're hoping and we're expecting a positive judgment, considering that for the past 24 years we've been going through a lot of a roller coaster, although it has been proven that, in South Africa, Rastafari is recognized as one of the 7 constitutionally recognized religions. Now, how do you recognize a community or a religion and yet you don't recognize its sacrament? So we have been a constitutional contradiction in this country for the past 24 years. And we are hoping that the judges will solve that contradiction by granting us what God has granted us, the right to use marijuana, the right to use the ganja itself, for various reasons, spiritual reason, medicinal reason, but also we are of the view that we are going to be vindicated, albeit that it's going to come up with conditions. They're going to try to impose a lot of conditionalities and to control it. But at the same time, the world is moving to this. About 27 states in America have legalized ganja for medical marijuana. South Africa has started a conversation from last year through the CDA, the Department of Social Development, to have a round table on medical marijuana. So we know that it is going there, but it's going there in their own terms. That's the whole thing. It's for control purposes and regulations. But we are also hoping that it will give a relief to our Rastafari community, which is daily facing persecution. We're having a video right now, it's on viral. Last week, a Rasta was brutally beaten by the police because he refused to pay a bribe that he usually pay bribe. So he was like, I don't have money that day. So he was beaten so bad, brutalized by the police for that. So we hope that then it will present a remedial, a relief, a sort of a redemption to this particular community of Rastafari.
Well, and you know, judgments are judgments. They can go either way. And if it doesn't go to your advantage as a community, what then? What next?
Well, we continue fighting. It's not for the first time. You must remember that this is the second time we're coming to the Constitutional Court. In 2001, 2002, the same Ras Gareth Prince, who's leading in this case, which is now Gareth Prince versus the Minister of Justice. Then it was Gareth Prince versus the Cape Law Society. So we'll keep on pushing, because South Africa, is a constitutional democracy. So every constituents have the constitutional right. It is our constitutional right until we convince them, until we find probably the most reasonable justices on the benches who will see things from our own perspective.
Thank you so much for talking to us. And there you heard Desiree. At 10 o'clock today, we will then finally hear the legality of the use of cannabis in one's private home. We will be taking that live. We will be here bringing you the judgment as it is delivered. Back to you in studio.
Mahlako Komane is at the Constitutional Court and will continue to follow that story.